Hi, good morning. This is Teresa Beem, and this is Make Moms Great Again. And this morning, I'm going to be talking to my very first interview, and it's a very special interview because it's my daughter.
No, you asked a really good question about what happened after that.
Right. Fill in
Well, I think there was a lot of things, but it was starting just at the very beginning of my conversion. I realized, okay, this ideology is absolutely toxic. It is absolutely toxic. Look what it's doing to men. Mm-hmm. That's how it started, actually. Mm-hmm. And then look what it's doing to women. Look how it's teaching them to hate men, teaching them to hate their natures, mm-hmm. teaching them to, to forsake all mm-hmm. for very utilitarian means.
Right, exactly.
It is actually quite Marxist if you really think about it, because you are just an instrument of the state. Mm-hmm. Your worth and your value come from accomplishments as opposed to virtue.
Right.
And so once I realized that there were actually virtues, instead of just be a good person kind mm-hmm. of thing,
right.
which obviously came through my conversion. It was this long path toward trying to discover, wait a minute, there is a nature that we all have. God created me a woman for a purpose. What is that purpose?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there has to be more meaning, in fact, behind you're here to be, again, a utilitarian tool. You're here to cook meals. You're here to, change your diapers. You're here to vacuum, because that is inadequate. Mm-hmm. That is completely and totally inadequate. And I believe kind of what Betty Friedan in the early 60s was talking about with regards to, if woman is reduced again to
right.
what she does, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. then it's just simply a biological, well, you were born female, so,
Yeah, it takes
good
all
luck.
The meaning out of motherhood.
Right.
And so we're kind of combining our podcasts here, because to me, I want to show these women there's so much meaning in motherhood, that when it's reduced to, what you do, what did you accomplish during the day, then you feel like you've done nothing. But when you get the whole basis of what a mother is, what the meaning of motherhood, all of a sudden and like this is going to be one of our upcoming podcasts, is science versus motherhood. And science is trying to take over motherhood. They're mm-hmm. trying to say we know better than mothers, mm-hmm. and so it's really bad. And I believe, to give you a little teaser, I believe feminism is behind all that, because the feminists are going into these things and saying, oh, don't listen to mothers. They don't know what they're talking about. Here, we've gone to school, we know more than mothers. But anyway, that's a teaser for another show. But, okay, so you are now married very happily.
Very.
And you've got you've given me a granddaughter. The most beautiful and wonderful. Oh my word. I am going to publicly ask my daughter, will there ever be a time that I can show my grandbaby's face? Listen what she's going to say. No. And you know what? Mm-hmm. I will respect that, because I love her. She's very smart. And I agree with that, actually. I think kids on the internet's not super good for them. So anyway. Okay, so anyway, now we have a baby. And now I want you to kind of compare and contrast what the world would call a successful career for a woman and being a mother. What has that experience been for you?
Well, so I will I will give the background to that answer and then work up to the actual answer, because I think I can't fully answer that question without giving context of being a mother is intertwined and is inextricable as fatherhood is with the family. And that concept of family is so beautiful. I mean, you could have your own. It's the family of God. I mean, it's this gorgeous, beautiful concept that you can't even express properly as a human. And so when I met my husband, Brendan, he was a lifelong Catholic. All of his family is Catholic. And so he introduced me to these concepts that were so beautiful and so wonderful that they've truly changed me as a person, and I'm so thankful for it, because our purpose on this earth is, again, not utilitarian. It's not useless. It's not hopeless. We are here for each other. In other words, this is a very high in the sky concept to saying, our marriage is what makes everything possible.
Amen.
In the sense of our vocation to each other, our solemn vow to each other, in the sense of to each other and to God, is fruitful in only a way that is fruitful when we completely devote everything to Him. In other words, if we don't live for ourselves, if we are completely and totally self-sacrificial to each other and do nothing except serve the other, then that basis and that foundation is what everything will grow up from. So how I bring that to motherhood is that you can't even compare the two. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean that flippantly. I mean, they are so different from each other, they shouldn't even be said in the same sentence.
Okay.
Career is not a vocation. Career
but
is
most of our listeners are not going to know what a vocation is. Would you explain that word?
Career is not what God created you to do.
Okay.
God created you, a man or a woman, on purpose. He has supernatural meaning attached to those beautiful natures. He gave examples of those beautiful natures in the wonderful people from the church going back 2,000 years. And so when you try to compare and contrast that, the gorgeous opportunity to show the face of God to another human being that He created for you, for Him, but through you, you are the conduit by which that person sees God and relates to Him.
Yeah.
Career, it's silly to even talk about. And I mean, I hope it doesn't seem like I'm just mincing words here, in the sense of like,
I don't think anybody thinks you're mincing words.
Well,
I think you're pretty strong, because I think what you're talking on a level is most young women are going to not relate to it, because you're talking in a very, very deep way. But my suggestion is, play this over again. Really contemplate her words, because you came from this. We're going very, very deep here, and we need that. And I want you, and because this is her podcast, you should listen to her podcast.
Well, and I'm
these are
doing
important.
that for a purpose. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm doing that for a purpose, because to me, talking about the periphery issues doesn't really help in the end. In other words, so if I said to someone who's 18, let's say, and has all the opportunities in the world at their doorstep living in
Right.
the United States of America.
Right.
To say, choose motherhood is just not adequate, because if they didn't have
Right.
good examples of motherhood,
Right.
if they didn't have good examples of
Right.
fatherhood, grandmotherhood,
Right.
grandfatherhood,
Right.
family,
Yeah.
or church or whatever, then that's not going to mean anything. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's what we're trying to do is give young girls, because what Teresa's saying is very, very deep, and what we're trying to do is uplift motherhood, and so some of these concepts may just seem, oh, she's just being silly. Oh, it doesn't. But I'm telling you, she knows what she's talking about. I can say that these things are really, really important to contemplate and pray about it, because sometimes there are levels of understanding that it takes us a while to be able to comprehend. And so just ponder and pray over what she's saying, and think about it. And you may take this to other people, and they may just scoff at it and just say, we're back. What is this, Handmaid's Tale? Excuse me. No. What the Handmaid's Tale is doing is they're mocking the traditional wife and mother. And they're saying that we were enslaved. And no, I think you can say with me, do you feel enslaved now that you're a mom?
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons we named our podcast the way we did, because it is the true toxic ideology, in the sense of what it does to a woman's brain to constantly go against your nature, to go against what God created you to do, takes its toll.
Yes.
And it is an enslavement of mind.
Yes, exactly.
First of all, and then it is an enslavement of body, in the sense of you are physically working, you are physically,
Yeah.
God forbid, having an abortion. You're physically, being mean to your husband or whatever.
Right.
But it's absolutely an enslavement of mind.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so we're going to get onto a little of a lighter question for you. Okay, so, and I know how you're going to answer that. I think everybody knows how you're going to answer it, but I still want to hear the words. So, what quality of motherhood would you feel your child would have had if you had worked? In other words, if you had made the decision, I'm gonna go ahead and work, and leave Maria Teresa with your husband or your mother or your parents, what do you feel like she would have missed out on?
She would have missed out on femininity and womanhood.
Yeah, you would have been teaching her.
G.K. Chesterton says the triumph of feminism is actually the triumph of masculinism. And
I love G.K. Chesterton.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He's wonderful.
He's one of the reasons we became Catholic, is G.K. Chesterton. He's amazing. So, yes.
So it would have implicitly taught her how to be a male.
Yes.
Instead of a woman.
Okay.
Which, for men, that's wonderful. For men, that's, full of glory and heroicism and etc. But it would have taught her to be something that she isn't.
Okay.
And that's not to say that there are not exceptions to the rules. There are always exceptions to the rules. For example, Saint Joan of Arc. A lot of people use her to make the rule, but she is a thing because she's the exception to the rule, in the sense of she was forced to do something because others were not doing it. And there was something, God created her for that very specific, moment in history and role to fulfill. But she's not glorified now because she was a soldier.
Right.
She's glorified now because she gave her life for God.
Right. That's, yeah.
In a very heroic way. So, for example, Amy Coney Barrett may be a modern day St. Joan of Arc in the sense of, if she is a part of a future ruling that outlaws the killing of children in utero, then praise God.
Right. Yeah.
Then the sacrifices, which she does have to make sacrifices.
Yes.
Her 7 children will feel the loneliness of not having her there.
Yeah, but they're already doing that though. She works now, so they're already feeling the loneliness of her.
Well, they'll continue to feel it.
Right, exactly.
Continue to feel that pang of she chose career over us. But again, I am certainly not judging her. In fact, she may be performing the greater good by this.
Right.
Which God be praised.
Right.
But this sense of making the exceptions the rules, in the sense of, well, she can do it, then everyone can do it. Number one, no.
Right.
We can't all do it.
Right.
And also, I have an issue with just because it's physically possible does not mean it's good.
Oh, that was the podcast I'm doing after Teresa goes to take care of her baby. That was the next one I'm doing. Is just because you see Google tell you it's possible to do with your child doesn't mean it's the highest good. When you go to Google, they're going to say you won't kill your child if you do this. You're going to have what really and truly what it is it's a bunch of feminists out there who are now pediatricians, who are that are trying to overplay their hand as mother, which they rejected, and trying to what they're doing is they're taking their position as a feminist, and then they're trying to kind of say, don't listen to your own mother, don't listen to mothers, listen to us, because we're scientists, therefore we know better. And so that is absolutely true. That was it. And they give the lowest. They'll say, you're not going to kill your child if you do this. And what motherhood is, what is the best? Motherhood is it is the best for us, for our children.